Hello and welcome to today's virtual session called The Lean Canvas. I am your host and presenter, Hadiza Sa-Aadu, Small Business and Nonprofit Specialist here at the Kansas City Public Library. On this screen, you can see my contact information, including my email, my phone number, and a link to schedule a one-on-one session with me if you have a small business that's currently operating, you have a small business idea, or you are looking to seek assistance with a nonprofit idea or existing nonprofit. For today's time, our main learning objectives span three buckets. The first is to know where to locate and access Gale Business Plan Builder from the digital catalog, either from your home, another location that has Wi-Fi, or the library itself. You'll also learn how to create an account through the Plan Builder portal to save your work. And if you are not already familiar with the Lean Canvas, also known as the Business Model Canvas, you will be introduced to it today as well as its inputs. And if you are familiar with it, you will be reintroduced to it in the context of the Plan Builder. So for today, our journey will start on the Kansas City Public Library homepage, and we will move our cursor over to this section here called Resources/Research. And once we do that, all of the digital resources that you can access through the library are listed on a drop-down in alphabetical order. And so we will go over to G for Gale Business. And we can see we've got two Gale Business tools. Again, we're spending our time today in Gale Business Plan Builder. So we'll click on More Info. We'll read a little bit more about what this tool does. Gale Business Plan Builder offers personalized tools and guidance to help you build your business, including your business plan, from new entrepreneurs to experienced business owners to nonprofit fundraisers. Please note you will need to create an individual login to use this service. So please just know that before you do access this, you will need to have an active email account to be able to log back in to save your work and move forward. So if you are at home at this point, you will also want to have your library card, because that is how the tool is going to recognize that you are accessing it through the library if you are not on the library's Wi-Fi. If you're in a library location, any of the branch locations, then you're automatically on the Wi-Fi and you don't need to validate your credentials further. So I'm at the library and I'm just going to click on Access so that we enter the tool. And once we get to the home page of the tool, we see that we've got three different options here. One for new entrepreneurs, one for experienced business owners, and one for nonprofits. So essentially this tool is for anybody who's new to entrepreneurship or small business ownership, somebody who is experienced as a small business owner, more established and maybe looking to pivot or refine things, or anybody who is in the nonprofit sector who is starting a new nonprofit. Okay, so first things first, we're going to learn how to create an account here. So we're going to get started. And I already do have an account, so it auto-fills my information. But for the purpose of showing you guys how to create an account, we're going to scroll down to this question here, first time here, and we're going to click on this purple button, Get Started. And at this point, I'm going to create a username, and I'm just going to call this Small Business 1. And we'll just call this Small Business. And I'll set a password. I'll set my email. Oh, my passwords don't match. Let me try that again. It's not wanting to work. There we go. All right. So now we have successfully created an account, and you want to be sure to save your password because that's how you'll log in again. So we've got a few instructions here. There's maybe a lot to look at here. It can be a little bit overwhelming if this is your first time in the tool, but the goal here is really just to read the instructions and follow along. So say hello to your dashboard. It's the first screen that you'll see each time you log in, and it contains useful information for navigation in the tool. As you complete the steps of Gale Business Plan Builder, your plan will start building here. So if you're new to entrepreneurship, one of the things that makes a lot of sense to start to do is to start in Module 1, this entrepreneur profile. It really does allow you to take the time to ask yourself the questions that you might not have thought of as you get started on your journey. This is especially useful for those individuals who are interested in entrepreneurship or small business ownership, and maybe they don't have an idea just yet. Maybe they want to dip their toes in the water. This is really a great module here in the tool to help you check in with yourself. So we can take a brief look at it. Entrepreneur profile. So we've got what I like to call a canvas here. And you can just start with question number 1, going all the way to the last question, number 7. There are prompts within each question. So this first question is quite basic. Why do you want to start a business? And if the answer is to make money, that is a decent start. But, there's a bunch of other prompts that are listed within the tool that can help guide your thinking and help you think of things if you have not necessarily thought in those directions. That's assuming a lot. So we won't spend much time here, but this is just a useful tool for anybody who is very new to entrepreneurship or anybody who does want to take the time to check in with themselves if they're pivoting. You could just adapt the questions slightly or just focus on the ones that are relevant, like what are my resources? How do I handle setbacks? Because answering these questions can change over time. So we'll return to the dashboard, and briefly I will explain a little bit about how this dashboard works. We've got the big version here taking up the majority of the space, starting with the entrepreneur profile, which we just looked at. And then we've got business ideation, which is what we're going to spend our time in today. But after business ideation, we've got break-even analysis, business plans, and financial projections. That is for further on in your journey, and I help people with those parts of the tool all the time, really depending on what it is that they are seeking help with. Usually it has to do with seeking some kind of financing or wanting to get financial projections onto paper. All right. So, there are two options here. You can use this navigation screen here, or you can just look at the smaller module breakdown over here on the left-hand side. So we can click on business ideation. Either way, you're going to enter the same tool. So what we're going to be focused on again today is the lean canvas. We'll click on that. So if this is the first time that you've ever heard of the lean canvas, the lean canvas is really just a version of the business model canvas. It's pretty much the same thing as that, which is something that you can absolutely look up. But essentially what the lean canvas is I like to explain it as the pre-business plan. So before you even, once you have your idea, before you get ready to get your business plan down on paper, you want to take the time to go through the lean canvas because it really does help you think about all of the different inputs that are required to manage once your organization or company is operating. And so we will go through each of the different sections of the lean canvas and I'll just explain them. And the first thing to really understand with the lean canvas is this may or may not be the first time as a business owner that you are thinking about your business offering, what you are selling, what service you're providing, what products, again, you're selling. This may be the first time that you are orienting things from a perspective that is the customer's perspective, the person who's playing. Hi, Dave. Not to put you on the spot or anything. So we have gotten started with the recording. But what we can do is I will back up and show where we started. Right now we are in the lean canvas of Gale Business Plan Builder. So how we got there, I will just go to another screen. Okay, see your chat. Hello. I'm going to go ahead and pause. So we just paused the recording to go back and show how to get to Gale Business Plan Builder. Gale Business Plan Builder. And now that we've got Dave here, we are ready to dive into the different inputs of the lean canvas. So just to rehash what I said before the pause, I like to describe the lean canvas as a tool that helps business owners, people who have business ideas, basically draw out all of the inputs that are going to be important once you are operating, and especially once you're ready to create your business plan itself. So once you do your lean canvas, you're well on your way to being ready to do your business plan. So I don't know if you necessarily would like to participate, Dave, but if you would like to share in the chat or if you want to talk, feel free. Do you have a business idea or a current business right now? And are you familiar with the lean canvas? Oh, I think my screen sharing is paused. Okay. There we go. Okay, there we go. Can you see my screen now? All right, let's see if we can activate your mic.
There it goes.
There we go. Wonderful. Hello, Dave.
I usually use my cell phone, but I wanted to go to the screen while I was doing some other work. No, I don't have an active started in business when I was 19, so I'm always interested in stuff like this. I understand that this resource is available at the library, so I wanted to learn about it to be able to share it with others.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm so glad that you're here today. Okay, so what we're doing today is focusing on module tool two of the Gale Business Plan Builder, which is the Lean Canvas. So the Lean Canvas is something. If you've Have you ever heard of the business model canvas? Is that something you've ever heard somebody say? Maybe not.
Can't say I've heard of that phrase.
That is totally, totally okay. But I just want to share the origins of the lean canvas. It comes from something called the business model canvas, which is basically the same thing. Um, so, what we'll do today is we will go through the different inputs, starting with the problem. And if this is your first time kind of thinking about together a business plan for a business idea, whether you're tuning in live or tuning in later, this is a time where you are going to want to be thinking about things from the customer's perspective. So, up to this point, you might have had a business idea or even a business that's operating. And it may or may not be the case that you are framing things from the perspective of the customer before you frame it from your perspective. So, number one, we're talking about a problem. So, every business, whether you're a for profit or a nonprofit, and today we're talking about for profit businesses, every business is meeting some kind of want or need. So, the best the best situations are those in which a business owner can identify a particular pain point that comes with some kind of want or need, that identifies a customer base. So, when we are looking in this tool, we might be stumped, but luckily we've got these purple boxes here that help us jog our thinking. And so there's quite a lot to think about here. So, starting with, what problem or problems are you solving? Are you creating a new product or service? Or are you doing something that exists but you're adapting to it or making it better? Are you offering something that already exists out there, but is it cheaper for customers? Is it more durable? Does it last longer? Is it just better overall? So at this point, this is where, if you have not already done this, you really want to be able to define your competition, or at least now take the time to figure out who your competition is. But in that sense, you're thinking about your competition in the framework of the customer. So you were putting yourself in the customer's shoes and you are thinking, okay, what is the pain that I have and how am I trying to remedy it? And where can I get the help? What already exists? Um, so there's a few different prompts that you can read through here, and you can click on each link to get a little bit more information. So if you click on outline your plan, you can click here to read more resources about summarizing your business in a business plan. So there's quite a bit to help jog your thinking. But if you're already pretty clear on this, you can just go ahead and type your answer in this box, this text box here, and then save your work. If I can scroll this up and see what I'm doing. All right. So that's the problem. The next section that we're going to go to is all the way over here on the right hand side, and it's called customer segments. Customer segments is a very important thing to be thinking about early on, because whether or not you have one particular kind of customer in mind or you have several different kinds of customers in mind, you're always going to have a target customer. And your target customer is going to take the majority of your efforts as far as outreach, marketing, promotion, that kind of thing. So, as far as customer segments go, really diving into the motivations about why any kind of customer is going to come to you for the solution to their problem. So you can break this down by demographics to start with: age, location, educational status, all kinds of factors. It really just depends on what makes sense for what your business is. If it doesn't make sense to break things down by demographics, then you probably want to focus more on different motivations. Always, though, people are going to come to you for different reasons. And over time, as you're operating as a business, you're going to start to see the different kinds of customers that are coming to your business, if they see that you're offering a solution to their problem. So it could be that you start off with a particular target customer in mind. You are very clear on who it is that you are selling to, but then over time, it could be that you attract other customer segments who you didn't necessarily intend to sell to. But because you've already got your target market, target segment, that becomes a secondary customer segment. So there's just a lot to think about when it comes to customer segments. One great exercise to go through if you already have a business idea is to think about different kinds of personas. So you can just kind of start to imagine the different kinds of personalities and reasons, and life circumstances that would lead somebody to seeking the solution from you. Okay, so that's customer segments. Unique value propositions. This one is not very straightforward. I do admit that. But the way that I like to frame this one is, as far as what your offering goes, from the time that somebody didn't know anything about your business to the time that they have either become a client or purchased an item from you, or whatever the experience is of whatever it is that you are offering through your business, once a customer or client spends time with your business, what has changed in their life? Is it that they were able to receive higher quality service for home cleaning or something like that at a lower cost? And did that then improve other aspects of their lives? So it's this part is you're thinking about what you're offering, not only as far as what your solution is, but what that actually does for the person that is your client or customer. And that is your unique value proposition that nobody else can offer, even if they're offering something similar. It is how you're doing what you're doing, or it's how you relate to your customers. So this one is one that you should take time to think about it. If you haven't taken that much time to think about what unique value you're offering in a competitive marketplace. All right, so that then brings us to solutions, which you might think that solutions should come right after problem, but I think it does make sense to start with the problem and then go and spend time in customer segments, then to the unique value proposition, because it forces you to really, if you still haven't gotten into the perspective of the customer, it forces you to do that before you get back to the solution. So then once you get to solutions, um, this might be a point of reframing where you might have said, oh, I want to sell chocolate balloons. And that's something that you want to do and make a business out of it. But then maybe you've gone through and you haven't necessarily identified a problem, or maybe you have, but you're a little bit stuck at some other aspects. So now that you're at solution, you're like, oh, maybe it's time to reframe this. I need to really think about this from the customer's perspective. I really have been leading with myself. So with solutions, again, this is from the customer's perspective. What is easing the pain? So when we click on this button here, the question is, how are you solving your customers' problems? And this is really where your marketing strategy starts to come out. This is where you really know your customer and you know why they're coming to you. And they may already trust you to say more. And this is where you're getting input from customers to then create an effective marketing strategy. Okay. All right, channels. So channels is one step above, one step further. Once you're starting to think about the marketing strategy, then you want to start to think about the channels in which you're going to introduce your offering, your product or solution. These are the ways in which you're going to reach your target market and other customer segments. So this can be anything from brick and mortar to online, social media, a website, different ways that you're going to advertise. These are just the different ways you're going to get the message of your business out there. And this is how you're going to connect with customers. Okay. Revenue streams. How are you going to make money? What are people willing to pay? So you might have a price point, but the market also has a price point. And hopefully that difference isn't too big. But you need to validate how much people are going to pay. And this is where it's time to start to figure out who your team is. And this is when you really want to be able to have a minimum viable product so that you can test the market and see what people are willing to pay for what you have to offer. And then cost structure. On the other side of things, when you're starting a business, you take on a lot of expenses. That's why they call it startup costs. So you're always going to have operating expenses that help you run your business day to day, but once you're getting started, you have things that you need to pay for up front that you don't necessarily have to pay for later on, or maybe you'll replace later on. But you have startup costs, and you're going to want to be very, very you want to pay attention to what you're spending. And so this is where a lot of research is going to be handy as far as what you'll need to create the product that you want to create or offer the solution that is a service-based type of solution. So there's a lot of prompts here. I won't get into them, but just know that this is definitely something that you want to pay very close attention to. This is where a budget really does come in handy. Key metrics, number 8. So with revenue and cost, another layer of kind of just seeing where your business is going are identifying key metrics, ways to tell that what you're doing is correct, or maybe you need to pivot in some way. And this is going to be different for every business. Metrics can be anything from just relying on web analytics. You can hire third parties to do that. You can focus on your sales as a metric. You can focus on testimonials from people. But what I would say here is don't get too bogged down in the weeds. Make it simple. Um, think to yourself, what are the things that are going to tell me that I'm doing a good job? And if you are a service based business, testimonials are a huge, huge, huge thing. So that can be a lot of different dimensions within that. It's the quality of the testimonials, it's how many testimonials. And then, another metric that can be really easy to capture early on is how many times people come back to use your product or service. Um, or it could be referrals. So there's a lot of things to think about as with all of these other inputs. And then last but absolutely not least, we are going to come over to this small box here called unfair advantage. And this, again, a little bit nebulous, similar to unique value propositions, but I kind of like to think of it as the other coin or the other side of the coin of unique value propositions. And this is finally where we can get to the back to kind of thinking a little bit selfishly, and thinking about what is it about myself as a business owner, as a leader, that makes me the best position to offer this solution in this way. So unfair advantage is really saying, what do I have that other people don't have? That they can't have because they're not me, or they don't have my expertise, they don't have my knowledge, they don't have my network. So there's again prompts in here. This is where intellectual property comes into big play, and you want to be very mindful of that. And you want to also, at this point, it's not just you. Of course, like it does start with you, but this is where your team is also very essential because they also make up the company. All right. So there, I'm going to stop. Go back to the dashboard briefly. Oh, I guess we've signed out. And we'll go ahead and stop the share and see, Dave, if you have any questions.
I can't think of any at the moment. I'm gonna enjoy going in and playing around with that tool.
Awesome. Well, let me share my screen again, just so that you can see my contact information. I am available for one-on-one appointments. You can reach me by email, and I will follow up to everybody who registered. Once the recording is ready, you will be able to watch the playback as well. So you can reach me. Email is the best way to reach me, but you can also leave me a voicemail, or if I'm at my desk, I'll answer. And then schedule a meeting with me through my scheduling link that is listed there.
Two questions. How do you pronounce your last name?
Sa-Aadu.
Sa-Aadu.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna be at the meet and greet with the new community coordinator?
When is that?
That's at 5, I believe. Scheduled 5 to 6.
I don't think I'm going to be able to make that today.
How about what are the I'm only starting to dig in. I went to how is KCPL connected to Mid-Continent? Do you do more than just Bookshare?
Sometimes we do joint programming, but they have a Square One business program where if you're an author, they've got a bunch of services for authors. They've got services for people in the restaurant industry and food industries. And they've got also one-on-one help. So they've got it a little bit bigger scale. But yeah, we do a lot of programming together. So we're not the same system, but we do a lot of programming together.
Because they would if they're launching the new food. I went to that a few weekends ago, the restaurant hub, whatever they're calling it. But anyway, that's since they're a neighbor, libraries are very good neighbors.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording right now. So, for those of you tuning in later, thank you very much for tuning in. And we will see you later.